So today I shall be promoting the sixth entry in the Hammer Dracula saga, this being 1970's Scars of Dracula, directed by the noted film director Roy Ward Baker. I find myself enjoying every entry of the Hammer Dracula canon, although sometimes I am tempted to name this title the least interesting of the group. However, this is more of a warming thought than not, as I still find this picture to be incredibly cool and entertaining throughout. Actually, it being the quote least interesting unquote of these films is tied to a complementary aspect of itself. Scars of Dracula is very slow-paced and sparse in visceral horror and violence. It appears to seek a return to the restraint of pre-Hammer Dracula pictures, albeit coating it in that familiarly and exquisitely garish red. This film features a Dracula who lures unsuspecting travelers and or outcasts to his haunting fortress, hypnotizing them with the iconic stare and that tantalizing tone of Christopher Lee's. No actor has ever portrayed less cynicism, portraying the same role over several films in a franchise. Here he is less a frenzied animal as he may have been portrayed in certain entries in the series, and more of the calculating count, enjoying the hunt for its own sake rather than indulging in ravenous lust. This back-to-basics approach is suggested by its seemingly sarcastic prologue, wherein Dracula is resurrected by a bat disgorging blood onto his open casket. No attempt is made to reconcile this with the ending of the previous film, Taste the Blood of Dracula. Actually, considering both films were released the same year, perhaps the back-to-basics approach was not exactly a passion play. One can see why those Paul Naschy werewolf films saw no need to bother with continuity coherence across films. If Hammer doesn't bother, why should we? I don't have an answer to that. So yes, Dracula was resurrected essentially without explanation, so this film could potentially be seen as a kind of reboot, a blank canvas to retell the accustomed Dracula yarn. I tend to treat any film which happens to be a sequel as its own thing as much as possible. Getting hung up on loyalty toward any individual film just seems inane to me. I'm actually yet to describe this film's plot, although I'm unsure if it is truly necessary. Dracula does not leave his abode, and several locals find themselves caught in his web. It's very typical, but I welcome it thoroughly. I enjoy this film's mood, aesthetic, and pacing. Roy Ward Baker was an excellent choice to helm a Hammer Dracula film. Baker had long proved himself a very credible director, and extremely competent with genre films as well. He was an excellent choice for this series, carrying the torch from Fisher and from Francis very effectively. He was also preceded directly by Peter Sasdy, who was not a noted veteran of vibrant horror titles as Fisher, Francis, and Baker were, although he happened to direct a very memorable and extremely well-staged Dracula picture all the same. Though certainly over the course of his career, Sasdy would prove himself a true legend of this bracket, no one would dispute. But yes, I love the Hammer horror catalogue, that real rub-your-tummy goodness. I suggested that Scars of Dracula might be the lesser of the Hammer Dracula films, but it is still pretty awesome in its own right, for much the same reasons as the other ones are, albeit with perhaps less unique qualities to call its own. Though again, I'd be lying if I said I didn't find this film extremely thoroughly entertaining. So hey, have a swell day.